Welcome to The Fine Print, the podcast where we explore the law, its impact, and the people who shape it. I'm your host, Rudel, and on today's episode, I'd like to welcome Advocate Deepak Gandhi. With over 40 years of experience, he specializes in economic offenses and human rights law. He is a founder of Gandhi Legal, a boutique law firm in New Delhi, and has also contributed to some prominent landmark judgments. Welcome, Advocate Deepak Gandhi. Firstly, it's an honor to have you on the podcast. With your extensive experience, I'd love to know a bit about your background. So what initially inspired you to become a lawyer and drew you specifically to focus on economic offenses and human rights law?
I'm third generation lawyer. My grandfather, father, everybody was in this profession. So naturally, that was one of the incentive for me to think about this option as a career. And I got admission into the college I wanted to go to. At that time, this course was after graduation for 3 years. And after finishing, then I started off with my grandfather as an intern with him. And about the specialization, Rodel, I was an under internship of my grandfather. He was a pure and simple civil law lawyer, specializing in the real estate and land cases, which are very prevalent in the rural areas. He did that for over 50, 60 years. But somehow when I started independently, in between, I'll tell you, my father was a hardcore criminal lawyer in the sense that murder trials and cheating cases and such like cases. But somehow I was not very comfortable in that particular sphere of criminal law. I do not know how I came into this and I started liking it because it involved, number one, it was totally commercial. There was nothing, people you deal with are mostly businessmen, and it is a violation, sometime intentional, sometime unintentional, violation of commercial laws and laws which regulate the economics of the country. Every country wants to safeguard outflow of foreign exchange and things like that. They are regulated. Everything is regulated. So I started liking that. And in this, human right angle came into picture because in India, there is a perception about that these people who indulge in money laundering and custom violations or duty evasions, custom duty evasions, etc., are powerful people and they work in a syndicate. So there is a law which is called COFEPOS in short form, but this is Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Smuggling Activities. That is the full form, in which they detain preventively. When there is when somebody is caught in a case of violation, they preventively detain them for 1 year and which can go up to 2 years. The short line, underline is that you are very powerful. If you are released on bail, there is likelihood that you will be repeating the prejudicial activity for which government wants to detain them to be separated from the society. So that under the law, there is no bail in this. There is no way you can come out of jail if the stipulated period is 1 year or 2 years. You have only one remedy to make a representation to government that I have been wrongly detained. There is not enough information, or most of the time you have to take out an extra constitutional remedy. You have to ask for quashing of that detention under the Constitution. So that That line I started liking a lot because that was purely connected to the liberty of a person, irrespective, because that law is not weighing whether you have done it or not, whether you have done anything wrong or not, is not the outline of that law. That law is only that if you are released, it is very presumptuous. If you are released, you being very powerful or well connected in the society, you are likely to repeat your act. So that slowly I started liking it, and that was the reason human right angle came into picture.
Thank you for sharing your journey, Advocate Deepak Gandhi. Your law career stemming from your family by being a third generation lawyer, as well as discovering your passion for human rights law compared to your father's criminal law experience, is truly inspiring. However, I'd like to start off with another one of your specializations: economic offenses. What cases are classified as economic offenses, and how do you typically go about handling them?
You see, every country wants to safeguard its economy. There is inflow of foreign exchange and there is outflow of foreign exchange. There has to be a balance. No country wants that there should be excessive outflow and the economy of the nation becomes negative. So, in that case, especially in a time like this where most of the economies are now open, so the restrictions are less, but still there are laws which try to regulate. In India, we have customs, we have enforcement directorate. Custom regulates the import and exports so that there is people are paying the right kind of, making the right kind of declaration. A item is not being brought as B, where the custom duty is less, which is called classification of an article. T-shirt should be T-shirt and the T-shirt should not be classified as something else. That is one thing. Then smuggling is a word which is colloquial in normal talk when we are talking that this is smuggling, this is a smuggled item. But as per law, anything which is misdeclared or is liable for confiscation, because anything which is misdeclared and with brought into the territorial waters or the inside the border of the nation, that becomes liable for confiscation. Government confiscates. It is seized first. First is seizure. Then there is a process for which they give you an opportunity to defend yourself. But normally, ultimately, they confiscate. Confiscate means then it gets vested into the country. Whatever. It can be gold, it can be anything else. It can be drug also, narcotics.
Yeah, so it sounds like economic offenses as a field of law is very complex. So, what kinds of economic offenses are you seeing more often today compared to 10 years ago or before when you started practicing economic offenses?
You see, when I started practicing customs, it was, you will be very surprised. There is a big lust in India for gold as a household item. It was not as expensive as it is today, but it was the main item of smuggling which used to come inter-border. Very easy to bring in, very easy to dispose of, and very easy to send the money back through non-banking channel and to bring in more gold. That used to be. But after 94, the laws changed and the economy started opening up and they allowed import of gold from Singapore, Dubai, Switzerland, wherever it is made, Hong Kong. These are the destinations where gold biscuits, bars are made. See, over a period, we found that gold still, although there is not much profit now, to bring in gold, not the way it used to be. But even today, gold is still a very favorite item for import illegally, in the sense that now we realized over the period that gold sometimes is not a commodity as such, but it is payment of other things like narcotics. These are big cartels, international cartels for that matter. These people, they accept the hardest of currency. You see, for oil and other things, US dollar is a prevalent exchange currency. But for illegal things like narcotics and, for that matter, illegal arms, which are used for terrorism, the gold is one of the favorite payment currency. So that is how over the period, more than 40, 45 years, I have realized that gold is not an item for profit. It is also currency used by the cartels, smuggling cartels.
Yeah, that's so interesting to kind of understand how gold is being used in so many various ways, but still stays prevalent in today's society. So shifting perspectives to human rights law, another one of your specializations. When you work on human rights cases, what's a side of this work that most people don't see or quite understand?
Law presumes that whenever somebody is caught in any violation, Indian criminal law says that you are innocent till you are proven guilty. So proving guilty is a very long process. So this law which I talked about, COFEPOS, or any other, there are similar laws, NSA, there are POSCO, there are other laws where preventive detention is prevalent. But they are more or less on the same lines, where you do not have any remedy except making a representation to government. And there is an advisory board which sits to hear your case. There is no talk about whether you have done the offense or not. Offense will be proved maybe in the Indian system, maybe 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. But in the meanwhile, why human right angle comes into picture, and these people also need help from the specialists, is because you are not guilty till you are proven guilty through the trial. Trial takes a lot of time. It is not time bound in India. It is pretty slow. So in the meanwhile, if you are not competent enough to execute the trial within 6 months or 7 months or 1 year, you cannot impose a preventive detention just to camouflage your own incompetence. So that is how we guys come into picture, and we say that you have not yet proven me guilty. How can you preventively detain me without any proof? And in this activity of detention, you are not even talking about that aspect, whether I've done it or not. You are saying that it is just a presumption that you will come out, you will repeat it.
Yeah.
So it is very, very, it's a black law,
Yeah.
according to us.
Yeah, this really sheds light on human right cases. And, proving someone guilty is so important, especially in a society where the law can take a lot of time to actually settle a case. So adding on to that, with the rise of social media, it has generally gotten easier to expose and post human right injustices. But does this really help in getting legal aid, or does it sometimes kind of create more noise than change?
See, this multimedia availability has exposed these people, whether it is a visual media or a print media, all of them have to sell their product. So they are looking for spicy stuff. And I'm afraid to say that sometime there is a media trial without any proof. They just want to add spice to their news items. They keep on adding every day. They have to, till the time it is alive. 2-3 months, we see that everything is, and after 2-3 months, everything dies. And the normal trial, when it goes to the court, sometimes the guy comes out without any blot.
Yeah.
So that is very painful. So courts are also getting conscious to this, that in very, very important cases where high fly VIPs, people or film stars or politicians are involved, they comment on some kind of an embargo, not to sensationalize it. They do that. That is the negative side. But at the same time, agencies, whether it is police or customs or ED, they are all also on tenterhooks because they are also answerable on daily basis. That pressure on the investigating agency is a positive thing, but conducting of media trial before the actual trial starts is a negative thing.
Yeah.
It should not happen because sometimes very, very poor people, they are persecuted. People go, they hang themselves, they commit suicide because of this, because there is so much of exposure and negative publicity. Sometimes the families are ruined, the children get very negative comments in their schools. This is how Indian society is. But ultimately, nobody comes to know when the actual outcome of the trial comes. He is completely acquitted without any blot. That is a very painful thing. That is a painful thing. But as long as they are putting a lot of pressure on the investigating agency, that is a positive thing. That
Yeah.
they keep them on the hook. They also know that they are answerable. They can't take it easy. If they want to, whitewash some kind of stuff or they want to help somebody, the people are after them because of this exposure.
Of course, there are always positives and negatives to every field of law.
You have to weigh them,
Yes.
weigh them together.
And it's so insightful that you've kind of cleared this and analyzed this in such a way where it's done very articulately. So finally, taking a look back at your journey, what guidance would you offer to young lawyers aspiring to build a practice in these fields?
Any youngster, I'm very glad we come across all the youngsters who come and we get an opportunity to talk to them. They're very excited about this profession as a profession. I always tell them, please close your eyes to the negative things of this profession.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go for any shortcuts. You will take time to you don't become a specialist overnight. Most of the time, it is luck, an opportunity, and your hard work, which makes you a specialist. And then you start enjoying because that is the law which you are doing day and day out. And you understand everything like back of your hand. But every youngster, I say, just put your head honestly into this. There is so much of scope. There are so many laws. I can't even pinpoint which particular law you should, destiny will take you there. But once you are there, just put the best foot forward and the best cases will start coming to you. It is only a very, very honest approach to your profession. Be very hardworking, be analyzing. You see, I don't see it as a job. It is not a job. It's a 24-hour mental exercise. You're all the time, whether you are in a party, whether you are sitting with friends, whether you are just watching TV, oh my God, I could do this. So, that the best thing about it, I always tell You are learning. That is why it is called practice. He is in a law practice. We say is a law practice because we are learning every day.
Yes.
It is not that I have learned. You see, you will be very surprised when you will enter law, you will study law. There is not even 10% when you pass the law, passing the law or taking a nice degree is a 10% of the job. When you come into practice, then you start realizing that how things are moving. Putting everything in practice is the correct approach to the law. You learn only when when you are writing an exam, you are reading a book, you are memorizing stuff, and you sit for an exam, you write the paper, you sometimes you get 80%, you 90%. That is immaterial. When you come here and practice, then every day you are encountering one new problem.
Yes.
And even after 47 years, today, honest to God, I am telling you, I say, oh my God, I didn't know this till date. It is here. I was looking in limitation law. Oh my God, it is in Evidence Act. So it is very, very different approach. So if some kind of revelation is coming to you in front of you, oh my God, till date and so many years, because you did not get an opportunity to work on that law. I realize when I look back, I must have worked hard to get favorable relief in a case, but still I found, oh my God, I did not know the real point in that. I'm getting to know today.
Yes.
That is practice. That keeps the excitement on. Every day you are learning something. And that is why it is, unless you do it with your own hands, unless you watching somebody or somebody is arguing very well and getting very motivated about it, I don't think it is that important. It is important when you do it yourself. And everybody has, that initial hesitation. Some people are born orators, some are not. But there are laws where very flowery oratory is also not required. In a civil law, everything is on paper, where law is law. But in criminal law, yes, there is interpretation. Spur of the moment, you have to take decisions when you are cross-examining a witness. His body language, his demeanor, how he stands, whether he is getting nervous on this question, how should I frame the next question? All the criminal law makes it very, very exciting that way.
Well, with all your experience in this field, and your advice is very truly wise and gives our listeners a real insight into these fields of law and what they should take into account if they're aiming to build a practice in these fields. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for your time, Advocate Deepak Gandhi.
You're welcome.
And to all my listeners, court is now adjourned. Until next time with the fine print.